This podcast discusses true crime, which may entail violence and other material intended for a mature audience. Listener discretion is advised. Hi, welcome back to a Little Wicked podcast on YouTube. My name is Kayla, and if you are not familiar with what we are a podcast. We talk about true crime, paranormal stuff, conspiracies, cults, and everything in between. And the last episode was the Love Has Won cult, part 1. So right now we're going to be talking about part 2. So buckle up. Alright, so before we get started, I'm going to mention once again that this episode will mention anti-Semitism and child and animal abuse. If you're unable to listen to that, I will warn you guys before speaking about it. You can either skip ahead a couple seconds or you can just watch the next episode, whatever you feel froggy to do. So in episode 1, I mainly referred to this as a group. This episode, I will explain why they are full-blown cult and deserve to be referred to as such. The definition of cult is a relatively small group of people having religious beliefs or practices regarded by others as strange or sinister and a misplaced or excessive admiration for a particular person or thing. This group fits both descriptions completely, and today I will discuss how. So let's start with how they do harm with their medical advice of ingesting colloidal silver, among other metals that should not be ingested. Per their site, during the beginning of the COVID pandemic, they stated on their site that ingesting colloidal silver would prevent and cure COVID-19. They have since removed it after receiving a letter from the FDA about the dangers of this inaccurate information. The ingestion of colloidal silver can cause argyria, which is turning blue inside and out, kidney failure, stomach issues, and headaches, along with damaging the brain. It was considered unsafe by the FDA in 1999. Mother God frequently ingested this when she had started becoming ill, or she had started becoming ill by ingesting this. It's kind of a chicken or the egg situation. Was she becoming sick by eating this? Was she sick and eating this was making it worse? It's hard to say. This information, along with perpetuating the belief that illness is simply caused by negative energies, can and has caused people to avoid going to medical professionals, as they also told followers that medical professionals are working for the Cabal and are out to attack Mother God. Now, if you remember from part 1, the Cabal is their enemy who they think is trying to take over the world from them. What they had said of heart attacks is quoted in a September 2020 video as, quote, "The dark side has fooled all of humanity into thinking you're having a heart attack, but when your heart is expanding, you get pain in your chest sometimes, down your arms. Just breathe. You are growing in love, so don't run for the doctors. They're not going to help you. Love is helping you," end quote. So if you're having a heart attack, they're explaining it away as saying that you're just growing in love and growing in your practice, and to just ignore it and hopefully you don't die. Alright, this group adopted and created harmful beliefs and conspiracies that can affect those who are easily impressionable. Let's start with QAnon. QAnon has been described by professionals as a cult. They believe false claims that are centered around the idea that a cabal of satanic, cannibalistic pedophiles operate a global sex trafficking scheme that fully conspires against Donald Trump. They make harmful, baseless claims that originated by an anonymous 4chan user started posting about conspiracies they believed, and it basically snowballed from there, so much so that in 2019, the FBI considered them a domestic terroristic group. The followers of that group, paired with Love Has Won, has created a following of people who perpetuate false claims and try to negate important historical facts, such as the Holocaust and Adolf Hitler himself. These groups have joined as one on some social media platforms, one of which is a Telegram channel that has 35,000 followers. QAnon also donates money to Love Has Won, so we're going to circle back to their harmful beliefs of history, and this is where the anti-Semitism comes in. So again, if you don't want to hear it, just skip about a minute ahead. In a live stream posted on March 14th, 2021, hosted by self-proclaimed oracles Aurora and Hope, who they host a lot of live streams that appear on the Dr. Phil episode that I frequently mention, and say of themselves that they are college graduates and some of the most brilliant people in their families. They discuss their take on the Holocaust and Adolf Hitler. Their take is that Hitler was misunderstood like Donald Trump was, meaning that both men were aiming to take down the cabal and were using any means necessary, and they believe others blew it out of proportion as both men were not as others made them out to be. They are quoted as saying, quote, "Hitler was trying to take down the cabal." This prompted them to discuss how the concentration camps were not originally meant to be what they were. They were meant to be resorts for Jewish people, which they did not say it that nicely. They used slurs when discussing Jewish people. They had movie theaters, gardens, and to help keep them safe from the cabal. The original camps that were meant to be resorts were not able to be reached due to the cabal destroying the railroad tracks to them, so they were left to the less nice ones that had little food and supplies. So what they're saying is that the concentration camps that actually happened, they are saying they weren't supposed to be that way. This is obviously false. Like, we all know the Holocaust, what it was about. We know what the concentration camps were about, and this group is trying to negate from that. The point is that Hitler wanted to take the Jewish people to get them out of the way, as the cabal was aiming to harming them, and so they wouldn't get caught in the crossfire as Hitler was fighting the cabal, since the cabal planned on using the Jewish community as shields. So they're trying to make it out so that Hitler was trying to save the Jewish community, when we all know that that is false. That is not true in the least bit. But this group has it in their heads that Hitler was trying to save the world from the cabal. The one host, either Aurora or Faith, one of the two, went on to explain how she did research of the gas chambers and claimed that the walls were tested for the chemicals that were claimed to be used and nothing was found. These two claimed to have lived during World War II in a past life, which is why they know so much about it and are drawn to it. They claimed that Hitler was serving the light, whatever that was supposed to mean. Alright, this next part I'm going to be discussing the death of children. So again, if you are sensitive to that subject, please skip ahead about a minute or so. They went on a rant about how Sandy Hook did not happen. 26 people, 20 of them being children, were killed. They tried to say that it was a cover-up and that no one could prove that these people actually existed. Along with 9/11, they believe the government was behind it. All of these negate the fact that people died and try to perpetuate false information as true. And last but not least, they rant about how homosexuality is wrong, which is very much against their belief of spreading love. This group has a certain emotion towards non-believers. They have an us versus them mentality, as many cults do. And the closer that they got to the Ascension and Mother God filtering the negative energy of the world, they started becoming restless and wanting people to either join them or get out of their way. It started as telling non-believers to either join them or to simply get out of their way with smaller threats such as, quote, "You're going to be like a fly in a windshield, smashed," end quote, from Ryan Kramer, aka El Moria. In an interview with Rolling Stone, they mentioned that he was asked in a live stream chat if there were weapons in the house, to which he responded with, quote, "We're supposed to say no," end quote. These are still threats, but not as an extreme level as one threat stated by member Adam Holler in 2019 in one of their YouTube videos, where he is quoted as saying, "Anyone who tries to fuck with us, we'll kill you. We will fucking kill you, because there's no time left. And we've seen our moms suffer so much. I know that so many people watch these live streams. I know that there's rich people out there with millions of dollars who watch these, and how dare you? We're coming for you," end quote. A lot of these threats are stated as Amy is going through the Ascension, which I will touch on that in a bit. And during the Rolling Stone interview, when asked about this quote, Adam responded with, "That statement was spoken with no violent intention, bloodlust, or will to do ill harm, merely a friendly warning to all those who refuse to return to the ways of natural law, life, and existence. These people will be cut down by the forces of nature and the universe itself." Clearly, this statement was intended with violence in mind. And Castillo was another member who was mentioned to have violent tendencies. He was known to be aggressive, have angry outbursts, and claimed to break another member's nose. He's quoted as saying, "You could say I broke everyone's fucking noses, everyone on the planet." Castillo had also told members that they should be prepared to die for Mother God, but thankfully no one ever hurt themselves or committed suicide due to this cult, as far as we know. So we're going to go back a little bit to before all these threats. In 2018, videos of a group of 10 people who call themselves the First Contact Ground Crew Team, which was a UFO group, started appearing with Amy among them. She would occasionally make appearances until she stopped altogether, to which Ashley Peluso, aka Arkea Hope, said that Mother God could no longer appear on camera as her vibration is so high and all of yours is so low. That viewers' bodies would explode. This is the year that they claimed Amy started filtering all of the negative of the world and had started taking its physical toll on her body, making her weak and unable to walk well or do much for herself, to the point that Castillo had to carry her everywhere. The actual state of her well-being isn't truly known, as she is no longer shown on camera. August 1st, 2018, the video started talking about witches of the Cabal were spiritually attacking Mother God, but she was fighting them off. A few weeks later, Archaea Faith had said on camera that an assassination had been attempted where a sword sliced one of Mother God's hearts. But the etherics had been doing surgery on it for hours, causing Mother God to feel ill, such as throwing up and shaking. And during all of this, her followers were becoming more concerned as she kept going through attacks by darts and having her spleen and pancreas attacked by the Cabal. But through all of this, they claimed in a live video stream that Mother God had processed 99.3% of the world's negativity, which left her paralyzed at the waist down. These events led to them becoming enraged and violent against non-believers as they believed that the negativity of the non-believers was contributing to Amy's decline. This ideology also went to members who had negative thoughts or said anything negative. Those members were heavily berated verbally and mentally. Let's discuss Amy's health a little bit. So her decline in health could most likely be heavily attributed to not only her frequent ingestion of silver and other metals, but also to her raging alcoholism, which she called her medicine. Her alcoholism is well documented in videos of her being drunk and verbally assaulting members who did not do as she asked. In one video, she's laying in bed and screaming at a member who brought her meatballs instead of chicken parmesan. She says, quote, "My vision was of chicken parmesan," end quote. And continues her abuse of this member by yelling for more tequila and says, "It takes 5 rounds of whores to get me tequila." She frequently verbally abuses her members by calling them whores and has find the whore sessions where members are criticized and berated in order to find who has negative energies. The point of this is to break down people's self-confidence and self-esteem in order to keep them in the group, and a lot of this is pitting members against each other. During the Dr. Phil interview, she claims that this anger is simply passion from being raped, stolen from, and abused in past lives, and she, along with Hope and Aurora, consistently try to say that the anger is taken out of context for what it really is. But no one could answer what it really is and just kept dancing around the question. Alright, so this next part is going to mention child and animal abuse, so once again, if you cannot listen to this, which is fine, skip ahead about a minute or so. The abuse went further than verbal and mental. There is a video of Amy holding a 2-year-old who is crying and visibly scared and upset. A couple had brought the child to her to help them discipline him. She yelled at him to surrender to Mother God, and when he did not stop crying, she locked him in a closet 2 minutes at a time. She tried to defend this in her Dr. Phil interview as her simply disciplining him. She did the same concept to a pet cat, where she is again on video holding and shaking the animal for nibbling her finger, all while yelling at the cat to surrender. As the same with any other cult, she limited the amount of sleep members were allowed to get, along with limiting their food. This kept them weak and more willing to obey. One video that is taken by a member shows the camera holder antagonizing a man trying to sleep. The man said, "You had your hour, now you're up. We stayed up all night, why aren't you up?" Another aspect that is similar between cults is having to give the cult money and to completely distance yourself from non-believers, especially friends and family. Not only were members expected to give money, but Amy also made over $100,000 doing etheric surgeries. There are a few stories from people who managed to escape the cult. An ex-member named Ashley, who appeared on the Dr. Phil episode, she was only with the cult for about 2 months, and during those 2 months, she was told that her energy did not blend with theirs, and she needed to do labor work and cleaning in order to raise her vibration. She said that members who tried to leave were known to end up in danger. Another member, who is unnamed, is a male who left his family and gave $15,000 to this cult and went to live with them. He was only there for 2 days before a video of other members went out talking about leaving a man on the other side of the mountain because his energy did not match theirs. The man's family had a feeling it was him and went to find him and contacted police. This man was found wandering naked on a property and was arrested until his family claimed him. This man had severe eye damage from looking at the sun and was left on the other side of the mountain after being drugged with hallucinogens. One more example of the abuse of this cult comes from ex-member Jeremy Brown. He was with the cult for only 6 weeks in 2019 and described the first 2 as great. They practiced love bombing like other cults do, which is just literally just bombing you with love, boosting up your self-confidence, your self-esteem, telling you how great you are and how much you're appreciated for being there. After the first 2 weeks, he started experiencing the sleep deprivation and needing to clean the house. He lost 25 pounds due to the food limitations, and he was only there for 6 weeks. After going through all the ways the members were abused, let's go back to Amy's ascension process now that we are up to 2021. April 2021, Amy was now living in Mount Shasta, California. While living here, her family was concerned after hearing how the members were talking about her and not seeing her on camera, so they called police to do a wellness check. When the police came, they were turned away by members, saying that she was on another property, but at this point it was unknown if she was alive or not. And on April 16th live stream, member Bobby Leisman had said, "Mom is not good. She's very, very close, and that's pretty much all we know. So pray. She's slowly pulling out of her vessel." Members have started saying on camera that they think Mom may ascend tonight. Once again, police and an ambulance were called by concerned viewers, but the members turned them off of the property. The next day, a live stream member gave the command that, quote, "We don't get to just stop now. We have to keep going for Mom. So grateful she's not in pain now. So grateful she's at peace," end quote. It was assumed that she had died, but a few hours later, a member had said, "Mom is still resting. She's kicking ass for us." April 28th, 2021, back in Colorado, Michael Lamboy went to the Salida police where he told them that the body of Amy Carlson was in his home. He claimed that he had no idea how she got there and that she must have died in California. His official statement was, he believed sometime before April 27th, members put her in a car and drove 1,235 miles back to Crestone. The police went to his house around midnight where 7 followers and 2 children were residing. The house was full of childish decor like rainbows and posters and hangings of Amy. In the back of the house, they found the mummified body of Amy Carlson wrapped in a sleeping bag and Christmas lights with glitter around where her eyes were. On body cam footage, Castillo is recorded as saying, "Mother is resting," and members claimed that she had a pulse when the police came. Her body had been dead for weeks to months to the point of mummification. Her skin was tinged dark blue from decay and the silver, and her lips had receded. The people in the house were charged with abuse of a corpse and child abuse, but the charges were later dropped in September of 2021. Not really sure why. They may have just had their bail paid. Unfortunately, the horror of this cult does not stop there. Not only are they still active to this day, but they regard Amy's death as ascension and as if she did not fully die. Archaea Faith said that she was looking forward to the autopsy report as she wanted to see that it said that she had an unexplainable death or died by paranormal reasons. Her actual report said that she died by alcoholism, silver ingestion, and anorexia. Lesman had said of her passing, quote, "She experienced the most horrific death, which was very much like Lou Gehrig or Parkinson's, where her whole body was paralyzed but her brain was functioning. She did it for all of us," end quote. Even though this cult was built by Amy, I, on some level, believe that she is also a victim, and here are a couple of my reasons. So her family had come forward concerned that she's severely mentally ill. I believe that this could be part of the case, and she may have had some type of personality disorder that convinced her that she was in fact a deity and had powers. Now, I'm obviously not somebody who is able to diagnose. This is just my 2 cents that I'm putting in. I also think that the cult was taken away with their beliefs that it disregarded Amy's health to the point of her dying. Someone in the cult had mentioned that Amy did ask to go to the hospital, but was denied as they thought the cabal would attack her there and the doctors cannot be trusted. So yes, she did start this, but she may have had an underlying issue that caused others to get carried away, and she should not have died for it. And that's what I have for part 2 of the Love Has Won cult. So I want you guys to comment down below if you heard of this case before. What are your thoughts on it? What's your take? Do you think Amy was partly a victim in her own choices? And if you want to hear the full commentary between Lexi and I, who is my co-host, you can find this episode on Spotify, Apple, Deezer, really anywhere that you find podcasts, you'll find us. And you'll find all of our other episodes as well. You can find us on Twitter at A Little Wicked Pod. You can find us on TikTok at A Little Wicked Pod. We have a Facebook group and a Facebook page that you can like and follow. We have a Discord. Up in the corner of our channel, you can find a link tree where you can find the Discord, where you can talk to us, talk to other listeners, discuss cases. You can join our Patreon, where on our Patreon, we have extra episodes once a month. We have ad-free episodes. And you get to vote on whatever bonus episode you want. So if you vote that you want a true crime episode, you get a bonus true crime episode. If you vote that you want a cryptid, guess what? You're getting a cryptid. And once we get enough followers on our Patreon, then we are going to do a raffle for free merch. And you can also find our merch on our website, alittleewickedpodcast.webador.com. So thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe to our channel. So, till next time.